Today on Dirt Road Cred, we finally got some good Jeep news. Today in this video, we're going to talk about the state of Stellantis as a whole. The 2026 Wrangler might be coming sooner than expected, as well as the state of the used Jeep Wrangler and Gladiator market. So today, let's start this video off by first letting you guys know that we're going to talk not only about Jeep news, but about the state of Stellantis as a whole. If you guys don't know who Stellantis is and you're under a rock, they own Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler. They're a big company, as well as they own a couple other French companies and different brands overseas, but we're going to talk about them because that is the corporate overlord that controls Jeep and all these other brands that we know and love here in America. Now, the other day, we posted up our 5.7 liter Jeep Gladiator video, and thank you to everyone that watched that video because you guys made it go absolutely viral. It was pushing Ryan like 100,000 views in like 2 days. That video blew up and you guys absolutely loved it. So huge shout out to everyone that watched it, commented, submitted some information to the AMW team and to the friends and family over at America's Most Wanted 4x4 for making all that possible. But the cool thing about that video is that it actually dropped on the same day that the SRT brand was notified that it was going to be coming back to life. So we were notified that the SRT, which stands for Street and Racing Technology, you guys are familiar with it. You've seen them in Hellcats, Chargers, Challengers, Trackhawks, TRXs, all that fun stuff. Those are under the SRT purview. Now, the individual that brought that back is none other than Tim Kuniskis. He is now the CEO of all North American Stellantis brands. And let's just say he's bringing things back to light that should have never gone away. The SRT, what we're most excited about is that they bring the high horsepower. So when you think of SRT, you're thinking Hellcats, Demons, Elephant engines, crazy track times, crazy fast performance, and these guys just love what they do. They want to build crazy, badass vehicles, and that's just what this entire division is for. Now, Jeep, I would expect them to probably bring back the Trackhawk in the Grand Cherokee platform because that has gone away. I want to say 2019, 2020, they've never done it in the new body style. I would assume Dodge, not only we've heard they're bringing back the Durango Hellcat, but they're probably going to bring back the TRX with the Hellcat underneath it. Chargers, the Chargers and Challengers, come on, let's just bring them back. Let's put the Hellcats, put the Demons back in there. And then the Chrysler, maybe they'll do a Hellcat Pacifica, the minivan. The Hellcat Pacifica, but back in the day, the Chrysler 300 they did in an SRT8 performance. That thing was the most trick. Everyone loved the Chrysler 300 SRT8. That was way back. That we're probably talking 2000. I don't want to say way back like it's that long, but 2007, 2008 somewhere. If Chrysler would relaunch that, maybe even a Hellcat version of the 300, but that's the only thing under their purview is the Pacifica and then the Chrysler 300. So maybe we get a Hellcat swap minivan. People would buy it. I'd haul my kids around in the back of it. That would be pretty cool. But either way, the SRT is back, and that is absolutely fantastic news. But along with that, the new CEO of Stellantis North America really has a good grasp on what the American population needs. The coolest thing about him is that they haven't gone over and be like, you know, we've got a big ego, we didn't make any mistakes, we're just going to add this stuff back in. They've admitted that sometimes there are problems. Sometimes things were chosen wrong, and sometimes that a brand could kind of lose touch with their audience. And that's why they actually revealed that the Ram 1500 right off the bat is getting the 5.7 liter Hemi, returning to it in the year 2026. Wouldn't you know it, they had 10,000 plus orders on day one of the Ram 1500 5.7 liter Hemi. Who would have thunk that, Ryan? It's only what everyone's been asking for is a 5.7 to come back in all these vehicles. The second thing that I was really proud of them announcing, and I hope this goes over to the Jeep side, because Lord knows we have more problems on the Jeep side, 10-year, 100,000 mile warranty on the engine and the powertrain warranty. That's coming for the Ram. We need it on the Jeep too, but they'll probably be like, nah, let those 3.6s just tick themselves away. Either way, I'm hoping that that's kind of going to start to go across the entire line, but it is big news. The SRT coming back, that's a world that we thought was going to quietly just disappear. In a world of 4xEs and EVs and plug-in hybrids and all that stuff, high horsepower engines just started to seem like a thing of the past, and all true car enthusiasts and people love that kind of power, they didn't want to see it go away. The only one problem we're facing is one thing that Stellantis did a few years ago is they signed on to the California Air Resource Board. It was the CARB Act that they had to have a certain percentage, I want to say it's high, 70%, 60, 70%, something like that, of all vehicles by their brand need to be plug-in hybrid or fully electric. I need to do some research on it because, once again, it's just California that has this. Now, Stellantis signed it, and then it was repealed, but because they signed it before it was repealed, they're going to have to still maybe align with it. So for our California ladies and guys, that might get tricky here soon. I'm sure it will be figured out, but we're waiting to see on what happens with that, because that could get a bit interesting. Maybe just the other rest of the 49 states will get Hellcats and all the other fun stuff, and California just gets the Wagoneer S. But next up to bat, though, the 2026 Wrangler, and I'm not even going to bring up the Gladiator because there's not really been much news about it, but per Anthony down at Sands Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram the other day, a lot of the options are going away on the back end. So he went on to order some stock units for his dealership, get some more juices, gone, get some more Willys XR, like all these things are just going away. And his prediction is that normally when that stuff starts to happen, they're gearing up for the launch of the 26. That makes sense to me. We both worked at dealerships. We knew that when trim models and options start going away, they're trying to clean house a little bit, get it refreshed, and then launch the 2026 Wrangler. In our opinion, that might come as soon as maybe the time of this being released, or I would say in the next few weeks to maybe a month or so. I would imagine they want these new Wranglers to be sitting on lots by Q3, which we're already in Q3. Yeah, end of Q3, August, September timeframe. I would imagine they're going to want 2026 Wrangler sitting on lots, and in order to do so, they've got to open up the order banks pretty soon. I would absolutely love to pick up a 2026 Wrangler, and this will bring kind of what our next conversation is about, but I'm hoping the colors are out. I'm hoping we see maybe a different trim. I would say that with the continuation of SRT, do you think the 392 is going to stay or go away? There was a couple other folks saying that the 392 is scheduled to go away. And I was like, man, we've been down this path before. Some people are saying it's going away, but everyone starts that rumor, and then it doesn't go away, and there's no final edition. So now, while that pretty much concludes some of the bigger news we wanted to talk about today, the next section is going to be going on the used car market and some personal kind of news for myself as well as the DRC team. So before we get into that, we do want to thank our sponsor of today's video, Onyx Off-Road. Onyx Off-Road has been a sponsor of this channel basically since the inception. We absolutely love the team over there. If you guys are looking for a great way to map out, to camp out, and utilize your Jeep or off-road vehicle to its full potential, consider downloading Onyx Off-Road for either iOS or Android. And a really cool thing is that it is both CarPlay and Android Auto compatible, meaning you can throw it up on that brand new screen of yours in your off-road vehicle and be able to see your mapping when you're out exploring new areas. If you guys want to save a little bit of money on your Onyx Off-Road subscription, be sure to use the code listed down below. And once again, a huge shout out to those at Onyx Off-Road, and thank you for sponsoring this video and our channel. When we're talking about this though, this brings us a little bit into what we're going to talk about next, is the used market of the Wranglers, and not only the used market of the Wranglers, but I would say the used car market as a whole right now. There have been definitely a lot of problems in the past few years since I would say the beginning of COVID era, 2020 to 2021. The car market has taken a huge hit when it came to just the sheer fluctuation of buyer's market versus seller's market, and back and forth vice versa. We had a huge uptick in price through COVID. Sellers had to buy premium because it was a buyer's market. So they were spending a lot more than the vehicles were worth, spending markups over what they were. Now for a few years later, for that all to kind of come back to normal, and then not just come back to normal, but dive even lower and become the buyer's market. So things are that discounted crazy. We've been able to shop some deals there. I've saw some 392s, they're marking down $25,000 off MSRP for a brand new 25, brand new 24s. We're seeing Rams that are discounted $20,000. We've seen trucks, Jeeps, Fords. Ford is probably one of the worst offenders. They just launched their 2025 Bronco Raptor at $10,000 less MSRP than the 2024. What is that going to do to the used market? If I just bought a 24 and now I can buy the newer one for 10 grand cheaper, I've just lost my complete butt on it. And what this brings me up to say is probably one of the things that it might make some people upset on the channel, but I think a large majority will be in agreement of the decision I had to make what was that, Ryan, about a week ago? And I would say the biggest thing for me is I tried to go out on a limb with the last build on the 392 and really make it a mecca of what I could build. I've been building Wranglers since as long as I could hold a wrench. My dad's first was a CJ7 Golden Eagle with a V8 under the hood. And over the years, I just progressively got more and more and more and more crazy with them. I've had everything, YJs, TJs, XJs, JKs, JLs, Gladiators. We've done builds on every single one of them. So that's my favorite part, and I want to say I'm probably up to about 30 or so Jeep vehicles at this point. And with the 392, I wanted to just take that to the max. This was the pinnacle of Jeep I could get. It was the pinnacle of Jeep I've always seen. I always wanted one when I was ordering them for other people when I worked for the dealership, and I finally was able to pick one up. Now, you guys don't know all this either, but a lot of, I would say almost all the Jeeps we own personally. So we make the car payments on, we pay for them. That 392 was absolutely incredibly expensive. It was probably one of the worst, this is one of the worst financial decisions you could ever make. It was ungodly expensive. And then I just took it 10 steps further and added on all sorts of color match parts, the most badass build we could do with this thing. And I did feel like there was a bit of the audience, a good percentage, that this was just too much. This is not something that the average guy could afford. And I'll be honest with you, I could barely afford the thing too. It was insanely expensive. And I sat down one night and we're starting to talk about the 26. We're talking about what our future plans are. And I thought to myself, I think I'd rather downsize, get a more affordable trim, and start building something that everybody, or just about the large majority of the Jeep community, could see themselves in. Now, we're still talking the modern JL, so it is a little bit more expensive, but something that the average consumer would see and be like, you know what, that's more my speed. And to be honest, something that would be more my speed as well. Something I could build up, not be scared to take it out on the trails, scratch something, beat something up. You guys got to imagine we're rolling around in this 392 and it's got so much money into it. You're scared to even do anything with it at that point. And that's not what a Jeep is. And that's not what this channel was started to be. And we're willing to admit mistakes. I'm willing to make them all the time. So with all that being said, the 392 has been traded in. It is gone. Yep. As of about a week ago.
You're driving the Chrysler Pacifica.
But now I'm in the Pacifica. Yeah, the Hellcat Pacifica. Yeah, we made a deal with Jeep. No, everyone thinks, they were like, oh man, how much must Jeep be paying these guys? And I'm like, I don't know where these checks are coming in because I ain't seen none of that yet. No, the 392 has been traded in, and it is time for a fresh build in the next few months. It's not coming anytime soon unless the 26 is dropped tomorrow. We'll order one, but the next priority is the Juice Gladiator on the chopping block as far as build comes, and we've got some pretty crazy plans with that. But not only that, I just kind of wanted to downsize a bit. And you guys got to imagine, we have a lot of vehicles here. I've been dailying now the 41, the two-door, for a while. My son's now forward-facing in the car seat so he can look out and see everything. And I would say that's probably been my biggest priority. So I know the builds are the huge priority. I know this and that, and making cool content is the biggest priority. But it got down to, like, my biggest priority right now is my family. You know, my boys are getting bigger. I didn't want to invest all of my free time or my play money into one toy that could sit out in the driveway and we could drive. I think it was a good financial move for me as well, just to be able to take some of that funds, invest it into more fun things for them, and start making more memories out of more toys or even other fun things than having it all wrapped up into one vehicle. And I think a lot of you guys are parents, your dads, your moms, you can understand exactly where I'm coming from, because you have to make choices based on them. And it wasn't the fact that my son didn't love the 392 and would say, hit the gas harder, and really wanted me to push the thing, but it's the fact that I think we wanted to change it a little bit, get back to our roots, get back to some more affordable mods on that thing, because it did go crazy. We all know that. That thing went absolutely crazy, and honestly, I just had to make better decisions financially. I know I convinced all these people, hey, it's got curtain airbags and all that, to pick one up, but you know, as a guy that is constantly building, selling, doing a lot of this, I've done a lot of buying and flipping. That might be another rabbit hole we go down in the future, Ryan, is just doing some builds and selling them on the channel. Let us know if you guys would be interested in that. But I have to monitor the market. So I have these things sometimes for a year, for 2 years, whatever, and I've never really lost on them. You know, you buy them, you build them up. I put a lot of money into them. I put a lot of time, labor, all that. You don't really lose. You might lose a little bit because you don't get half of what you put in mods. This has been one of the first situations where I've seen the market just take a dive as bad as it has. Now, you got to imagine, this is a 2024 Wrangler. It's a 392. MSRP, what was it, 92? 92, 93 on it. It's still lower than 109 that they're currently, but obviously we got a good deal on it. I paid invoice price on it, but it was still an absolutely insane price. I couldn't believe I was signing the agreement to buy this thing. So the problem with that is you're buying at such a high price, and then the used market was absolutely collapsing under it for the past year. I've seen it just drop and drop and drop and drop. It got to the point where I was seeing used 392s, 2024, so power touch screen, all the latest bells and whistles in the 60s. that's getting pretty rough, Ryan, because what you guys have to imagine is when a car dealership is selling it, say they're selling it for 70 grand, they didn't pay 70 grand for it. You traded it in for probably 5 grand less, depending on who the dealership is. So that's even lower than what you see that list price. So if you're into the 60s, they're paying people less, probably about 3 to 5 grand less than what you see it listed as. That's bad. That's no bueno. So we went down the discussion, do I want to trade it in? Do I want to private sell it? Private sell it was a whole nother ballpark. We could have went in on the channel, private sale, let's get this thing listed, let's go over everything that's on it. But I just read a story, and a good friend of mine just told me about the bogus checks, the scams. The check that comes in that clears, you give them the keys, they ship it out to another state, the money evaporates, and now you've just lost everything. It was the time involved with that, the fact that I'd have to meet everyone here, get it sold, talk about it, negotiate, and then also how do I provide financing, all that fun stuff. So the decision was to eventually trade it in, you know, and luckily we work with a good dealer. I got to say that because they looked at what book value was on it, they looked at MMR, and the saddest part was just that even when you build it like we did with the top, I mean, this is top of the line everything on this thing, it just didn't do much to that. And I just watched another big car guy, maybe we'll have to pop up his clip. He wanted to trade, a family came in, he deals in Ferraris and Porsches, and they traded a Wrangler. And he was like at MMR, which is Manheim Market Report, plus like 2 grand. They said on the video they had 50 grand into this JL because they paid labor. Yeah. They paid the labor for it. So we don't have labor involved, but it's insane how, if you're not going to keep this thing forever, how crazy it can get expense-wise for you to then trade it in. And if you find the wrong dealer, they don't even care what's on it. They look at it, it doesn't affect the price. This doesn't affect anything because it's a weird game to play. So all of what I'm saying here is, with all that said, you know, we're moving on, we're looking at new builds, we're looking at this, that, and the other. I hope you guys can just, I think everyone on this channel has been pretty good at just understanding why we're going through some of these things. I don't want to make it out like I was an arrogant snob having this 392, and I felt I was a bit young to have something like this, and I also felt like a lot of people got the wrong impression that I just paid for it with cash. It was not paid for by cash. So either way, the biggest thing about all this, the kind of final realization is that a 26 Wrangler will be coming. I'm not sure when they're going to release it or what colors, but we're going to really sit down, and maybe on this one, Ryan, I just had this crazy idea. Maybe we'll let the audience kind of decide what we do. Do we start with the Sport? Do we start with the Rubicon? What do we do with this thing? Do we do a spacer lift? Either way, Juice is up next, then 26 when it comes in. That's pretty much what the plan is. Now, we didn't completely go away from anything off-road. I'm driving the 25 for now. I'll be picking up a 26. Man, that sounds like some huge problems to have driving the 25. But we traded in the 392 and my wife's Grand Cherokee L, and we actually picked up a Rebel X. So we got a Ram 1500 Rebel X. That's her daily driver, and that truck is absolutely badass. It's got a rear locker, off-road tires, off-road suspension, steel front and rear bumpers, passenger side screen. It's loaded up like a Limited, but we actually did get close to $20,000 off that thing. So for the deals to be had, we had equity in our vehicles, we traded them in, and we're able to get a smoking deal on a new one. So although the used market, the trade-in values are going down, at least the new market is kind of coming down with some of those incentives. So light at the end of the tunnel, that's some good news. She's driving that, I'm driving the two-door for a little while, and yeah, that's kind of what we've got going on here. Although the used market's kind of shifting a little bit, and I am a little bit sad to see the 392 go. I'm also fully aware that these are financial decisions, as well as we've got a lot of moving pieces. So we're excited to get a new Wrangler, to pick up a new toy after we do the Juice Gladiator. I think that's what's really neat about this, as I get so fired up about just a new build, new idea plans, and what we can do to make that really special. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this type of content. We like sitting here, we like chatting with you guys, and I think we're going to be going to a lot of big manufacturers soon to be doing a lot more tours, Ryan, a lot more talking about different products, maybe get some new things on the channel and really figure out how much more we can show you guys at home. We will be at the Tennessee Jeep show, so the Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion will be there. Maybe the Juice will have a different powertrain at that point. I'm not going to say anything else besides that, but I know for sure the two-door 41 will be in the Distinction Applied booth inside, so when it's screaming hot outside, come inside, check out the Distinction Applied. We're gonna try and bring down some of our light kits and then potentially some new merch. I think we gotta just do, we'll have some new merch down there. So maybe, I don't know if we pop up some of the designs here, Ryan, but we have some new merch we'll bring down to Tennessee, and we cannot wait to meet all of you guys down there. But either way, yeah, lots of good news today. So we're excited about this. I hope you guys will comment down below. Let's chat, let's keep the conversation going. But until next time, Ryan's behind the camera. I'm here talking to you. We want you to get out there and earn yours.